Welcome to DS tutorial, and it's been great to see you all again, and thank you for your cooperation and support that you all have given to me. And this is the very first episode of political science. In this episode we'll learn about the first unit of political science, class 10, and that is working of democracy. But before we begin our class, I have a very specific mark distribution of political science, which is given by the Board of Secondary Education Manipur, and according to the question paper, the mark distribution of the very political science is given in the whiteboard right behind me. So if you can look at it, you will find it out. And let me just give you out for 1 mark there will be 3 questions, and for 2 mark there will be a 1 question, as well as for the 3 mark you'll have a 1 question too, and for 5 mark you'll have again 1 question. So altogether, if you add up, you'll have 13 marks altogether for political science, which is very important. So these 13 marks are going to be from these 4 units. These 4 units have their own specific roles in order to score the highest mark, the best mark that you can get it. But before that, before we begin our session, I would like to tell you something very important that every student must keep in their mind. Marks doesn't have anything to do with our knowledge. Marks is something that we get a numerical thing. What is most important thing is the knowledge that we can get abstract from each unit, and each unit has its own role. And believe me, political science is very important for every one of you, my dear students, because tomorrow you're going to be a rightful citizen of India, and in India this very democracy plays a big role. So please pay kind attention and have a great time and have a great learning in this channel. So here, in this very first chapter of working of democracy, so this working of democracy deals with democracy, the working, the mechanism of democracy, how it's being worked out in democracy. I believe in physics you might have learned about the working principle of, or the working of electric motor. So such the same thing. Here it's about democracy. You will learn how democracy is being worked out in the in a particular way, or in such a way that everyone has its own role. So unit number 2 is about power sharing. So power sharing. So from where this power came is from the first chapter itself. The first chapter speaks about the working of democracy, and I believe everybody remembers it about democracy. When democracy is from class 9, I will just abstract 1 word. That means democracy is being taken from 2 different words of Greek, that is demos and kratia, which is people's power respectively. Demos means people, kratia, which means power. So democracy, it's people's power. That power is going to be shared, and you will learn about it in this very second unit. So in the second unit, you learn about how power is being shared, but you will have to have an idea, like what is the platform that provides people to utilize their power in order to gain or abstract those powers which is being given by democracy. That you can learn from the unit number 3, competition and contestation in democracy. This chapter is very important because this is going to play a vital role in forming a government where you will utilize your rights. And I believe you all remember that. You all have the knowledge that the rights that you're going to utilize here is also known as the biggest weapon of democracy, and that's nothing else than what? Right to vote. So while you perform how to be a rightful citizen, and how you're going to cast your valuable vote for a right person who is going to be the leader in a democratic country, in a democratic nation, and he is going to rule over us, how you're going to choose all these things will be learned, or will be dealing about this in unit number 3. And finally you come to the unit number 4, outcome of democracy. This chapter is actually the conclusion of the very units. That means unit 1, 2, 3, unit number 1 and 2 and 3, you will learn about what are the things, a mechanism of democracy. And ultimately, in unit number 4, you will learn what is this democracy, how beneficial, or what are the advantages and disadvantages that is being given out in democracy. And I believe everybody knows, and I believe you also have an idea about everything has its merits and demerits. And for that, particularly for democracy too, we have merits and demerits. But we'll learn about that after learning unit number 1, unit number 2, and unit number 3, and ultimately we'll learn about the outcome. So the outcome, we need to understand it very well, because the very result of democracy is going to depend on this conclusion. So this is the, what you can say, the concept structure of the political science based on your class 10 board exam. So each chapter has its own role. Each unit has its own role. Now, some people will say that chapter number or unit number 1 is very important because 5 marks is from unit number 1, so it's compulsory from the unit number 1 or from unit number 2, unit number 3, unit number 4. It doesn't matter. Like I have told you in the early form, in the earlier part of our conversation, I have told you that marks doesn't have anything to do with our knowledge. It's just some numeric values. So here, look at here. According to your blueprints provided by Board of Secondary Education Manipur, here it is. Unit number 1 and unit number 2, when they combine, they give 7 marks. That people will say 5 plus 2 or 2 plus 5 or whatever it might be. Doesn't matter at all. At the same time, unit number 3 and unit number 4, they will say about 6 marks from these 2 chapters or 2 units. There will be 6 marks. Here also same thing. Don't focus only based on these marks. It keeps on changing every year, so no need for focusing on very particular subject or very particular topic regarding the 5 marks. Don't worry, if you understand the chapter thoroughly, the concepts are being cleared out, 5 marks is very easy to score, and no matter from which angle or which part of this whole unit is being asked, doesn't matter. Once you understand the chapters thoroughly, you can score the best marks out of everything. So first of all, today's class is about working of democracy. So working of democracy is very important for us to understand. Like I have told you earlier, democracy has its own mechanism. So if you look at your textbook, the textbooks provides about different segments, different subtopics regarding the challenges that democracy faces. At the same time, about how the caste, and at the same time the women's play their vital role to perform the activities of democracy. So all these things we'll discuss about it. But first of all, I have a concept map. I have drawn a concept map for every one of you to understand what democracy is. So why don't you pause the video and just while you copy it, so please make sure you copy it carefully, because this is a concept map. The whole chapters, concept points are mentioned here. So just one look at the chapter will be very helpful during your revision of the chapter of this